Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone. I'll try to adjust this a little bit so you're getting more of Art than me. Welcome back to a live edition of Pocatello Business Podcast. We are with Art Beery, the general manager and I believe partner now of Pocatello, the Pocatello dealership, but it's Cole Nissan and Cole Kia and also Cole Chevrolet. So this guy's got his hands busy. So I'm glad that he gave me some time to come in and squeeze a little information out of him. So,
all right,
Art, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everybody, and glad to be here.
Perfect. So Art, was not raised in Pocatello. He was raised over there in Minnesota, and he said 29 moves from here to Minnesota. That's crazy.
It is crazy, but part of it was not part of it. All of it was because I lived the corporate lifestyle,
Sure.
And so we got transferred quite a bit.
Oh,
yeah. So
that's great.
But here, I hopefully this will be home forever.
Yeah. So you went from financial. Your last job before Cole was Ally.
Yes.
So you're in the financial side, and then you converted and brought into the Cole dealerships.
Yes, into the retail. So basically, the way that kind of looks on the factory side, you're considered wholesale because you don't really deal with consumers. And here, this is really all you do. So it's the retail world. So
perfect.
It's been an interesting challenge.
I'm sure it is. So before we get into the meat of what we're talking about, maybe just introduce yourself, talk about your hobbies and your family, and we'll go from there.
Well, great. Actually, this is about 4.5 years of living here in Pocatello. I consider if there's a home out of these 29 moves, this will be it.
Nice.
But my other hometown is Chicago.
Okay.
I really love that city. I lived there for about a dozen years before moving here. I came to this area not as a fluke, but kind of as a plan. I actually met Greg Cole about 25 years ago when he started the Chevrolet store. So in my travels with Ally and GMAC at the time. So my wife and I are empty nesters and loving every minute. And out of these 29 moves, I've got 4 children, and they live in all 4 time zones. So
wow.
We kind of dropped them all off there. And hobby-wise, I'm actually I like to referee basketball. I was a high school basketball referee for about 20 years, and my wife and I we just like to travel. We like to travel, and we have these little Vespa scooters that we ride around in town and have a great time with that kind of thing. So
I like it. I have a faint dreams of it being an empty nester now because I've got a 1-year-old and she's the youngest of 4. I'm enjoying them, but there's times I'm like, man, it'd be so nice. It'd be so nice.
It is nice. I'm sorry to tell you, it is nice, but you have to earn your stripes first.
I know. I got to earn them. So, well, perfect. Before we begin, I need to also say the Pocatello Business Podcast, we're sponsored by Dell's Outdoor Advertising. And guys, there's not a better way to get in front of your potential customers and keep top of mind awareness than using some billboards. Kent Orem on our podcast contributed a lot of success to ICCU because of billboards, and Dell's Outdoor Advertisement does a great job getting you out there. And it looks like we disturbed our lights.
Oh, yes.
And they call Rob, and he will take care of you. If you sign up for 3 months, they'll give you your first month for free or your installation for free. So
that's great.
There we go. All right. So you guys recently purchased and acquired Cole Nissan, Cole Kia. As you guys can see, we're out there at their Nissan dealership, beautiful dealership over here. Come see them. Come take a look. So Art, you're the first one we've probably talked to about, who's recently acquired and gone through that process. What does that look like?
It's a lot of it is making sure you have a lot of runway in front of you. Mm-hmm. It's been our strategic plan to kind of grow out here because, East Idaho is growing so much. Yeah. And we thought there would be a great opportunity And we were looking at an existing facility because when you do a startup, there's a lot of infrastructure costs, and
Sure.
building, things of that nature. But we were looking around primarily for a franchise that really wouldn't compete with Chevrolet. And so,
Makes sense.
which was kind of a guilt complex for me because I was raised on the General Motors brand.
Sure.
But from a retail standpoint, it just made more sense for us to find one that kind of complemented what Chevrolet did. But really, to kind of start with this is that I use the analogy where if you want to dance, you got to be on the dance floor. So, so a lot of things that we did was that we were in constant contact with the various dealers that were in town, and they knew that we were in a growth mode. And frankly, it's been my experience whenever there's something catastrophic event that happens, either in the car business or world affairs, there's always a car dealer or two that probably says, I've had enough, I want to go on.
Sure.
So I think this might have been the case here when things were starting to get a little bit scary and not knowing where it was going to go. The previous ownership here felt like it was probably appropriate time. And they also recognized the fact that the Cole brand was pretty strong in town and that we'd be a good caretaker of the franchise here that he's kind of built up. So, but, back to the part of starting on this, it takes a lot of money.
Money number one, guys.
Yeah, it does. It does. This dealership here will have $6 or $7 million worth of inventory, and to kind of thumbnail that, you usually have to have in capital probably 50 to 60 to 70% of that to start up.
Wow.
If you think about that.
Wow.
So then that doesn't even include like facilities and things of that nature.
No, it doesn't.
So, but
That's
it takes
crazy.
Yeah, it takes a lot of money and probably knowledge of the industry. Probably a good thing, and really a lot of faith.
Yeah.
So,
that's incredible. I mean, I had no idea that it was going to take that much money and funds to do that kind of thing. I knew it was a heavy cash flow and heavy expenditure business, but that's crazy.
Yeah,
so.
It is. It is. But the good thing about that is the returns are awfully good too.
Sure.
With that, so whenever you have a lot of capital outlay, normally the returns will come, but also the catastrophes can also be as great. So it's one of those things. It's car dealers are known to be a little bit of riverboat gambler, and we are. So
it's probably good to have good connections at financial institutions, people that like you said, you've been around for what 25 years over at the Chevrolet dealership. Yeah. Probably good to have those connections so they know, hey, these guys are solid and we're going to work with them no matter what. And
yes, yeah, the Cole brand has really been pretty strong. This is one of several dealerships around the country, and actually Greg Cole started this one here in Pocatello about 25 years ago, and that's where I first met him. And so after I went through my entire career and was trying to decide what I do post-career wise, because my wife said I was way too lazy in retirement, he reached out to me, and next thing you know, I'm here and enjoying life. So now a partner in the retail business. And for anybody that's out there looking to start a business and get into that, it's never too late. It's one of the things I've thought about. It's a scary proposition, a lot of money outlay, but if you do it right and you know what you're doing, it's a good risk.
Yeah, right. They say Colonel Sanders didn't fry his first piece of chicken until he was 61, I think.
Right,
so.
Right.
And the only reason he did that was because I think he couldn't live off of his his Social Security check. Right. I think so.
Right.
It is unbelievable. So I love hearing those kind of stories, and I love seeing local companies grow. And this is exactly what Pocatello should be getting behind and just going after. So
So we're excited, and you know what? Frankly, there are a lot of good dealers in town.
For sure.
This East Idaho is really is quite fortunate, because if you look around here, and I'm looking over at my friends at Meters and what's done at Lithia, and just a number of facilities that have come up since I arrived here 4 years ago. There's been a lot of investment by business people here in this town. So they're signaling to the rest of the East Idaho community their confidence of where it's headed. So I'm excited. And that was one of the impetus for us to move forward. We thought, if there's so much investment being done here, why not us? So for the future. Yeah.
I feel like, there's this side of Idaho is really going to explode here in the next 5-10 years for sure. So, well, cool. So besides, we talked about the need for that capital to acquire another company. Is there anything else that you would say as you went throughout this acquisition process that's absolutely necessary?
You, you have to know the business. You know,
Okay.
obviously we did our homework on the capacity they had here, how many
Mhm.
customers they were selling to, and because I come from a finance background,
Sure.
I kind of worked it backwards to say,
Yeah.
okay, if we were to sell this many cars, how much in gross profit
Yep.
will we make? I generally have I have the background and experience that tells me this is what it's going to cost to pay the bills every month,
Mhm.
and this is how many vehicles that need to be sold to
Sure.
pay those bills, and then this is how many extra to make a little money,
That's right.
and so the formula fit. And
Nice.
so having that kind of background is important.
Oh, for sure.
Now if somebody is starting something brand new, I'd be highly advisable, especially on very cash intensive businesses like this, to pair up with somebody who's had experience in it,
Sure.
because this is not for amateurs.
No.
I guess.
No,
On this thing.
I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
They say restaurants are dicey and hard to start up, but I can imagine this is even a lot more moving parts here. So
there is, there's essentially, it depends on the type of dealership you have, but you're essentially running 4 or 5 different businesses in here. You're running from
sure.
used cars, new cars, parts and service, and finance, and just a number of things that you do. So you have to have a multiplicity of background and talents really to be
Sure.
able to lead that kind of thing. So
I like it.
Yeah.
So money.
Yep.
Do your due diligence.
Yes.
Make sure you what's the third one you just mentioned? The break even analysis.
Yes. And frankly, to be honest with you, and this is like in most businesses, well, I don't know if most businesses, but to have in the back of your mind an exit strategy. Honestly, it's
You
like,
got it,
okay,
yeah.
so we were thinking about this. Well, it's not like there's a number of Nissan Kia dealerships, in East Idaho. So if we needed to actually bail out because this doesn't work, you have that kind of
Sure.
thing. And it's a valuable business. But oftentimes, and if you can answer that question, the fact that how easy would it be to liquidate that business, it's probably a pretty good business.
Sure.
If you think about it that
Yeah.
way. So
No, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So, and then the other part is the people portion of this thing.
Yeah.
That's probably the most significant difference. Over at Cole Chevrolet, we built such an incredible team there, and it's no secret we're winning a lot of the Reader's Choice Awards and
Mhm.
things of that nature. And so that culture, I think, is going to permeate here.
Mhm.
And frankly, the people that are here really they get it, they understand it. And so it's just processes of what we're changing really to be consistent with that. So and it's great. And like I said, the dealer groups here are so good at what they do that you can't help but do well and
That's
be
awesome.
well. And you just drive down and see how beautiful their companies are here, and we have to just emulate that in order to keep up. So
I like that. Now talking about the people again. Have you ever seen or been in that situation that, for example, you've got a great employee, does a great job at what he's actually doing, but maybe his values aren't fully in line with yours, with the Cole brand.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to give up.
We don't need names for sure, but
yeah, that normally happens right away.
Okay.
And I guess to put it in relative terms, or just in reality, when you take over a company, whoever was there in leadership, they're probably alpha dog type people.
Mhm.
And so it's hard for them to let go. And so, I've already made some pretty difficult decisions here
Sure.
regarding people. And a lot of that was because directionally we weren't on the same page. So we just kind of mutually agreed to go ahead and I was going to run my company the way I thought it was see fit, and he was going to go find a company that would fit into his wheelhouse. So it wasn't a bad thing. It was just
Sure.
one of those things that you just do in business.
Yeah, and
So
you've got to, being in your position, you've got to know how to have those conversations and have that mutual split without fist flying.
Absolutely. And actually, it's interesting the dynamics behind there, because when that happens, that kind of sets the tone for the entire organization. Sure. So they just know that difficult decisions are going to be made, and that and it's not one of those things that people say, well, it's either my way or the highway. It's really not that. It's really the direction of the organization, and really the culture you want to try to ingrain into the new group.
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, so we got the we've gone through the money, we've gone through due diligence, we've gone through the break-even analysis and down to the people. Is there anything else they're missing as part of this process?
Really, really just, particularly in Pocatello and Chubbuck, it's the community.
Yep.
And one of the things I found here is that they really give you instant feedback here about what they think about, whatever adventure that we're on and venture that we took on here. And it's been very positive. And some of the negative too, they say, well, are you going to dilute, the kind of things, are you going to control markets? And, I have to at least manage that kind of thinking.
Sure.
But in reality, what I try to describe to them, if you think about just the way the world has gone, particularly with COVID and things of that nature, it's one of these things where we were an essential business. We proved ourselves out at Chevrolet that we could continue to deliver safely, and where people were comfortable and giving great service. And this kind of business is going to be one of those that's going to be in perpetuity, I think.
Yep.
Even though they talk about all this internet buying, that other stuff, I think at the end of the day, if you have this kind of a business, these kind of transactions, you want to be able to sit across the table with somebody, look them eye to eye, and say, "Am I really getting a good deal? Am I getting great service?" Yep. Those kind of things. So, the community here is that the more we give, the more they return. It is phenomenal.
Yeah, I've seen that as well in my own company for sure. I like that what you just said. So
absolutely.
I had some in my mind. Now I'm spacing it now, but shoot, it'll come to me.
All right.
Well, we got to take one more quick sponsorship timeout, and then we'll ask you like one or two more questions, and we'll roll out the red carpet for you. So.
All right.
Pocatello Business Podcast is also sponsored by Pack and Go, guys. The owners over at Idaho Fire and Flood, Mason, Brett, and Darren, do an amazing job owning this Pack and Go company. They make it super easy. They drop a pod right at your location. It's ground level. It's easy to load. You don't have those slippery slope ramps that you're going to be knocking your shins on. Yeah. And they'll come in, they'll drop it off with a professional driver. You'll load it up, take your time, and they'll deliver it to where you want it to go. Or if you're just storing some stuff like I am right now, because I'm doing a little remodel, my wife's spending all my money right now. They'll store it for you, and then they'll bring it back safe and sound. And if you sign up for 3 months storage right now, they'll give you your first month for storage for free. Just mention the podcast. So,
hey, Spencer, while I'm thinking about this,
perfect.
If you don't mind me mentioning. So, I've lived in big cities most of my life.
Please.
And from Philadelphia to, Seattle, Salt Lake City, on and on. And moving in this small community was really kind of intimidating, believe it or not, to a city guy like me, especially from the business side of things. And if there's any advice I'd give to people that are in that kind of transition, or else getting any type of business thing, is to do a couple things. One, get really involved with the community, from either serving on boards, getting involved with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep. For sure.
Again, because the chamber is an organization that does nothing but promote businesses. And probably the other thing is probably the most important thing that I picked up out of you, is you mentioned Kent Orem, is that I looked at the most successful companies that were in this area, and I knew I'm like 1/100th their size, but I tried to emulate a lot of things they did on the marketing and their involvement in the community and how they got their brand out there, and I just kind of followed suit for what they did. So whatever was important to them, I probably didn't jump in with them, but I tried to find something that was probably would be good on a startup basis. If there was a new bike race or a women's activity or a development type thing, those are the kind of things we got involved in. But if you take a look at what's going on in the community, it kind of tells you, especially the most successful companies, how you should position yourself.
I like that.
And then, like I said, just being involved in the community and giving back your time. So
I totally agree. And it's kind of cool to have, bigger companies to look at and in a way emulate, and to kind of use them as a mentor.
Yes.
as you continue to grow your brand. So no, that's great. Was there anything I didn't ask that I should have?
Anything you should ask that you should have? how do you, or what do you look for, or should you look for expansion?
Okay, I like that.
Because, there's a lot of successful businesses, and particularly small businesses in this community. And one of the things I have found here is that there's an extreme comfort zone from where they are. And my answer to always, again, maybe this is some of my corporate big thinking about this, is that if you're not expanding, then you're going backwards. It's like if you're not going uphill, you're going downhill. And primarily the motivation for us to keep looking was one of the things I do know of that has no ceiling at all is our expenses. Expenses, and no matter what, from healthcare to taxes to you name it, it's always going to go up. So if you've got a small business or even a big business, if you're not always looking for that expansion of yourself, someday those two lines are going to cross and you're going to be working for free.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
No one likes that.
Yeah. So in that sense, I think it was, if you want to expand, and some of it too is just for the luxury of being able to do it, and the other is it's interesting, it's exciting, and to be able to see if you can make it work. And people have asked, is there more that the Cole brand is going to do? If the opportunity is right, why not? If we can get this to operate and function. But for the community at large here, I just think there's a lot of them that get frustrated because they get to a certain point of growth and they quit, and they don't want to invest in that additional person or invest in that additional equipment because they say, I've got enough. But to me, the Grim Reaper is actually the expense structure, and it grows higher than the trees.
That's right.
So,
no, I like it. I like that. There's no neutral ground in business. You're either growing or you're dying.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
In our industry, we're in the cleaning industry right now. COVID, we've actually made more money from COVID. So we're reinvesting that money into, we're doing more sponsorships, more marketing, because we're trying to continue to grow as well. So yeah, you got to know when to grow and know when to hold back a little bit. But we're actually buying a small carpet cleaning company in Idaho Falls right now. So nothing the size of what you did, but but this is awesome. No, I really appreciate you sitting down with us. And I do have to ask one more question. I asked every one of our guests, but one is one of your favorite local restaurants to eat at.
You know what? My most favorite one is probably the Yellowstone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah, I love their food. I love the ambiance, and the owners are great. And you essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4 different restaurants in one type thing. So that goes on. So that's great. But there's a lot of the homegrown ones here, that are just great. So
yeah.
And I know everybody keeps talking about some Italian place out of Idaho Falls that they want to have come here, but I don't know. I don't even know what the name. It's a chain, but I keep joking about that.
Is it Olive Garden?
It's Olive Garden.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say the word here because that seems to be a kind of a cuss word here. So.
Yeah, I was in commercial real estate for years, and that was the main question I got. When are you going to bring in Olive Garden? When are you going to bring Olive Garden? For the longest time, they competed with. They were in the same house of Red Lobster, so that's why they didn't do it. But now they're separate, so maybe. So appreciate all your time, Art. If people are watching right now and want to come in and see you at one of these 3 lovely dealerships, what's the best way to just
come on in and ask for me.
Come talk to you.
Just come talk to me. And I've got a lot of project. I've got a lot of product experts. I've challenged all the dealerships to make sure that they know their product up and down. I know that seems kind of trite, but particularly with the automobiles, the way that they are changing so rapidly and that technology, that they have to be on their game. And frankly, they have to be on their game because on average, people are doing about 20 hours of research before they come in.
I can imagine.
So
internet.
Oh yeah, that's great. But yeah, if they, all of our product specialists are they're on they get it, and they will be happy to serve anybody in town here. And if there's anything that the community feels like we need to be involved in, I'll be happy to field those kind of questions too, because we do like to do things and to make sure that we're being part of the whole dynamic and infrastructure of our community. Awesome. And in 29 moves, I finally made the right one.
That's right. We'll keep you here in Pocatello now.
Right.
So, well, thanks again, and to everyone out there, get over here to Cole Chevrolet. call Kia, call Nissan, and get yourself a good deal. So,
Excellent.
all right. See
Thank
you
you.
guys. Until next time, Pocatello Business Podcast.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.